Cleopatra was more than just Egypt's last pharaoh. She was the ultimate rival to Rome, a woman who refused to bow to an empire that seemed unstoppable. When she first ascended to the throne, Egypt was in turmoil. But Cleopatra wasn't an ordinary ruler. Armed with wit, charm, and political genius, she turned her kingdom into a powerful force, rivaling Rome itself. She captivated the hearts of Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, two of Rome's most powerful figures. But Cleopatra wasn't moved by love alone. Behind every smile, every gesture, was a strategic mind, thinking several moves ahead. She knew Rome was her kingdom's greatest threat, and she played the game of power with everything she had. Rome saw her as a challenge. Cleopatra wasn't just a ruler, they saw her as a symbol of defiance, someone who dared to question their dominance. And she did it all while leading one of the world's oldest and most powerful civilizations. It wasn't just her beauty that made her unforgettable, it was her ability to outsmart and outmaneuver the greatest military and political minds of her era. The alliance with Julius Caesar granted her temporary stability, but his assassination in Rome left Cleopatra vulnerable. Yet she wasn't done. Enter Mark Antony, one of Rome's triumvirs, a man whose allegiance Cleopatra would secure. Their bond, however, was more than just a political union together. They sought to carve out an empire of their own, standing against the tide of Rome. But nothing comes without a cost. As tensions mounted between Mark Antony and Octavian, Rome's future emperor, Cleopatra's position grew more precarious. The fateful Battle of Actium was a turning point. Antony and Cleopatra's forces were crushed, and what followed was a slow, inevitable decline. The walls were closing in, and Rome's grip tightened. Even with her fate seemingly sealed, Cleopatra wouldn't surrender. She retreated to her palace, but the final blow came soon after Antony's defeat. He fell on his sword, believing Cleopatra was already dead. But she wasn't, not yet. The queen still had one last move. Refusing to be paraded as a Roman trophy, Cleopatra took her own life, reportedly by the bite of an asp. Her death shocked the world, but her story didn't end there. Cleopatra became a legend, a symbol of resistance and power, a woman who played on her terms, even when the odds were stacked against her. She might have lost the battle against Rome, but her defiance remains one of history's greatest tales. Cleopatra was not just a queen. She was a ruler who dared to challenge the greatest empire the world had ever seen. And even in defeat, she ensured her story would never be forgotten. Cleopatra wasn't just a queen ruling over Egypt, she was a master strategist in a high-stakes game against Rome. Her alliances with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony were seen as romantic, but what if they were far more than that? Cleopatra was playing a game of survival for her people, but behind her charm and power, there was a deeper strategy at play. As Rome grew suspicious of Cleopatra, they thought her relationship with Mark Antony was about love and ambition. The real twist? Cleopatra's ultimate goal may not have been Antony or even a political alliance. It was about solidifying Egypt's independence at any cost. She knew Rome's ambition would eventually swallow Egypt whole, and her every move was aimed at keeping her kingdom intact. Cleopatra used the emotions of the most powerful men in Rome, but she may have had another trick up her sleeve, securing Egypt's legacy through her children. Her son, Caesarion, the child of Julius Caesar, could have been her key to maintaining Egypt's influence long after her death. But the twist thickens. In the days leading up to her suicide, Cleopatra wasn't just thinking of herself. There was a secret negotiation between her and Octavian. Rome's leader offered her a deal: surrender Egypt in exchange for her son's life. Cleopatra had a choice to make. The shocking truth? She might have been prepared to strike a deal with Rome, but before she could, Octavian betrayed her. Instead of mercy, he intended to capture and parade her through Rome, humiliating her as a symbol of Egypt's defeat. This was when Cleopatra made her boldest decision. Refusing to be humiliated or let her enemies control her fate, Cleopatra chose death, but it wasn't just about dignity. In her final moments, she sent word to have her son Caesarion flee Egypt. What if her last act wasn't just suicide, but securing her bloodline's escape? The real shock. Though Caesarion was caught and killed shortly after, there are whispers in some historical records that one of Cleopatra's children might have survived in secret, blending into another dynasty. Cleopatra's legacy and Egypt's royal line may have lived on, hidden from history, in a place no one would have expected. Cleopatra didn't just defy Roman life, she might have outwitted them in death.